What you're seeing here is a Thermalright Trofeo Vision 360 ARGB in white. This AIO comes in at $150, but yet has a 6.8-inch screen. So in this video, we're going to compare it to some of the more expensive competition in terms of performance, and as well as the overall software experience.
So let's start unboxing this Trofeo. Okay, so like I said, I've removed the plastic. When you buy it, you won't have plastic. And right away inside, you get their typical AIO box. You get a booklet, user manual, all have the possibility of leaking. Yes. And it shows you the amounts it comes with. So it does very old Intel systems, 1700 and 1851. So you're covered for quite a few sockets, right? And 1200 even. So we can go quite a ways back. Even LGA 20XX. So pretty much every socket then. AM4, AM5. Yeah, so pretty much anything in the last 10 years or so. So put that to the side. We get an accessories box. And the screen is separate. That's interesting. Well, I guess it'd be awkward to mount this. So this is a USB-C screen, as you can tell. So we can probably even run it without even installing the cooler. But, you know, normally a screen like this might actually sell for like $60, $70, right? So that's pretty interesting. Well, on a retail side, obviously these screens cost nothing when they produce them. But let's take a look at that separately. All right, what's in the accessory box? Mounting software. Mounting hardware. Now, all of this mounting hardware looks pretty generic. Like all the 1,000 rebranded AIOs coming out of China, they all have like the same mounting hardware. You can tell because it's just stamped out steel. You know, it's not like some of the more expensive ones where the mounting hardware, they're still stamped out steel. I don't know. But it just looks doesn't look as nice as some of the mounting hardware as I've seen from the more expensive ones. You get a nice braided cable, right? So it doesn't stick out. I like the fact that I don't understand why it's silver, not white, but okay. At least, you know, they didn't give you a black cable that's not sleeved. All right, so let's take a look at the AIO itself. Now, I actually personally like it when the fans are pre-installed. This seems to start as a trend as of recent. I think a couple years ago, they weren't even pre-installed. So here we go. Oh, I see. So the braiding is like a whitish silver. This is actually, not the braiding, the sleeve. This is actually quite generic, the sourcing for this sleeve, because if you buy some whitish SATA cables that have the same color sleeve, so I think whoever produces supplies the material for this, probably supplies it for most of the computer parts. I think that's another thing, right? Like if I open I think the other ones, they're going to be white. They're not going to be like silverish and not match. So these small things kind of do matter, right? And let's see what else you get. Again, no thermal paste pre-applied. But do you get thermal paste? Yes, you do get Thermalright TF7. Okay, so you do get thermal paste. So to be fair, for all this, I'm just going to use whatever thermal paste is included in the box. Okay, I'm not going to use... You know what? That actually wouldn't be too fair. I'm going to use the same thermal paste for all of them. All right? Okay, so here we go. So this part... Okay, so this is just the AIO portion. And the screen then slides on. So I guess you install this first. And then this just... Okay, so this slides on. Okay, so if you have a small SFX case, this might be a little challenging to slide on post because... Oh, never mind. I'm stupid. It's magnetic and it snaps on. Nice, because I was going to say the slide on is retarded. Okay, so yeah, I'm stupid. So anyway, there we go. Comes on nicely. You can adjust it a little bit. You can have it at an angle. All right, looks pretty cool. I mean, we'll have some B-roll once it's installed. But yes. All right, so let's take a look at the radiator itself. Now, it seems to be one full 360 fan, right? It's not separate. Now, usually these fans aren't cheap. I've never actually seen this fan. Like, I don't believe... Like, when I look at other Thermalright stuff I've purchased, I know... When I look at the fans, I know right away it's a generic fan that's sold by... Like, they don't design their own fan as far as I'm concerned, because it just looks generic. Like, if you buy... Hold on, guys. Let me show you guys in 1 second. as I was saying, this is a generic fan. Okay, it's from a company you've probably never heard of. It's all in Chinese. If you ever go to like Computex or these kind of events, you'll see companies that just produce fans, like Cool It, something like that, and they make the fans for Lian Li. You know, they make the fan, and there's other companies that make the fans for Corsair. These companies don't make fans, right? So if you look at this, I mean, I bought this 4 years ago, right? So it's been a while. It might be right. I mean, look at the fan blades, right? Some of this has been changed a little bit. I mean, this blade design is also kind of generic, but you see the fins. I guarantee you, if you look through enough AIOs, you will find this fan, and it might be branded something else. But you can see what I'm talking about, right? So, and this is very high quality too, by the way. It's a very nice fan. But yes, nonetheless, like I was saying, so like a lot of these fans are just generics, right? Even the, I hate to say it, even the Lian Li ones, like they only designed the LED and the software maybe. But yes, so here we go. Now you get the nice Thermalright in silver. And it feels pretty solid, right? Low temperature, high performance. Okay. Let's look at the fin density. It looks to be expected. You know, we'll compare it with some of the other ones. So let's just put this aside. Everything looks good. Feels nice and solid. Doesn't feel cheap. You get nice clips already. That's nice. Most AIOs don't come with this stuff. And you get the Thermalright logo. I mean, the plastics and the whites are like 4 different shades. As you can see, I don't know how well that comes across on camera, but it's definitely like 4 different shades of white, which is, I mean, that's always a challenge when you're building white PCs. They're always going to be like 7 different shades of white. It's because just white is just hard to kind of put together. Moving on to the Panorama 360. Now, keep in mind, guys, this one's been opened before. All right, so it's not like how you're going to get it out the box. But I just kind of want to show you what it comes with, okay? I did do a video on this prior, after Computex, but nonetheless, we'll just quickly go over it again. You get the screen, you get something that's going to look very familiar to all of you guys very soon. Obviously, by default, you do have pre-applied thermal paste. I don't have it on this one because I was saying I've opened this before. I do get the paste, all right? And you get, all right, just let me, you get some Rotafans. I think they're called Rotafans. But you see here, the TRYX one also has some black on it as well. That's the screen portion, right? All of these, most of the time, the screen's going to be detachable because it's just a different part of the AIO. But okay, so here we go. You can see we have white sleeve, more white, and you don't get the clips like you do on the other one, but you can see it's more white, all right? And you do get gray fan blades. Is this the ARGB version? I don't think so. Right, so I don't have the ARGB version, right? But it is what it is. And the fans are kind of daisy chained for you, right? The fans are white. Everything is pretty much more of a, outside of the fans being gray and this being gray. You see, it's not as 3 different shades, right? That's kind of, those things actually, believe it or not, come a lot into cost when it talks about color matching and getting shades correctly. But let's just quickly take a look here. Compared to the Thermalright I just had, I mean, if I were to put these side by side, you can tell the fin density is about the same, right? Either they're not the same radiator. They may look like it, but they're definitely not the same radiator. Okay, so moving on, let's take out the Thermaltake. This is the Magflow 360 Ultra, as I was saying earlier. It also comes in 420 as well. So you do have that option. I think the Thermalright only comes in 360. I didn't open this yet. But, all right, so let's take a look at this. The fans on this are pretty much familiar for those of you that have been following Thermaltake products. It's going to be swap fans. I can see it on here already. I don't know if they included the swappable fan blades. I don't think they would because it doesn't make sense. You get Thermaltake booklets and part list. And you can see here the new software, which, ouch. Just looking at the photos, I'm just thinking, it doesn't look as polished. It doesn't look as polished, but it may work well. That's the most important thing. And here we go. So the fans are not pre-applied, right? So you get 3 fans. But the nice thing is they also gave you the reverse blades. Now, I'm not too sure why you would want to put reverse blades on your AIO. I guess maybe, if you, I don't know. But at least they gave you the option. But I would still like to see the fans pre-applied. Now, this is actually a little bit different. So if you look here at the pins, right? If you were to buy SWA fans, I think they have more pins than this. So this is another version of the fan. Specific, probably for some other use case, but this fan is specific to this AIO or to another product, but it's not the regular SWA fan, which has more pins than this. All right, so let's put that aside. You get your mounting software and daisy chain cable. It's going to be one cable for all the fans. All of them are like that so far. They're just, some are daisy chained, like the TRYX, and even the Thermalright, I had noticed, even the Thermalright, it's one cable, right? Essentially one set of cables. So good job there. Nice and clean. So let's take this puppy out. What's this? More mounting hardware. But that's really cool to give you the reverse blades, even though there was absolutely no need to give it to you. So even if you wanted to just, I don't know, put different fans on this AIO, you could, and then just use those fans as system fans elsewhere. So that's pretty sweet that they gave you the reverse fans. The reverse blade. So let's take a look at the AIO itself. Now, you guys might start noticing all these radiators look the same. I think they're all about the same thickness too, right? So that actually matters. So let's measure this. 25. And we also have, we have 27. We have 27 on the Thermalright. And the TRYX is going to be 30. So we have slightly different radiator thicknesses so far. And let's just pull this out. Okay. So the screen is attached to the AIO. It's one piece. You do get paste, but it's not pre-applied. And yes. So this AIO also comes in black. So it's a little disappointing to me that they didn't make the border white on a white AIO. Right? That's a little bit lazy. And I don't understand this rose gold lining around it. I don't get that. And I don't get why they chose to make the plugs here black too. So small things like this, I take points off. Right. Off to the most pricey one of the bunch here, that would be the ROG Ryujin 360 RGB Extreme. Just to clarify, this is not the regular Ryujin. This is the Ryujin Extreme, which has a higher price point, different fans, and I believe a thicker radiator, and on top of that, a different screen, and a newer revision of the ASUS pump. Okay, so it's not the same as the Ryujin 3. Now, for those of you curious about the Ryu 4, which I do have, that one I believe is, I can't get a confirmation, but I have a feeling it is using the same pump as this one. Okay, but that one will come in white, not anytime soon. In Taiwan, it's supposed to be Q4. So in America, boy, let's just hope for Q1 next year. Let's put it that way. But let me just try to get this open. I might skip the struggle. All right, so I got the sides open. One side, and then we'll just slide it out. For those of you curious, the Ryu 4 does have the fans pre-installed, unlike this one, which unfortunately is not. But you will have a separate slide deck on the top, and each fan is going to be individually boxed. Aside from the fans not being installed and having opened all of these, right, you can tell that the packaging here is nicer, right? And that some of that is because ROG is supposed to be a premium product. I'm not saying that the TRYX isn't, but you understand what I mean. Because of that, everything is going to be individually wrapped like so. Kind of like how the Thermaltake was, but this is not nicer. You get 30 millimeter fans here. I think they're 28 to 30 millimeter. They're going to be a little thicker. So you get thicker fans. How much they really matter is a whole nother thing. But with that said, you can see that, yes, there's attention to packaging is a little bit better. That better be at this price point. But yes, so in here, you will get the AIO. The screen will be pre-installed, a ROG membership card, underneath of which there's going to be your mounting accessories. Okay, and obviously the daisy chain cable, right? And you get your instructions, some stickers. See, a lot of this stuff you don't get with the other ones, right? Like the small stickers and the stuff, and the membership cards. These things cost pennies, so it's not like, oh my goodness, they added that, it's worth double. But being honest. And here, so now you'll notice right away. I think the TRYX had it too when I opened it. I don't remember. You guys can check my original TRYX video on the black one that I had. But you can see that here. They put a nice plastic cover. They do this for all of them on the Tryx, even the Tryx ones. I don't think they do it for the Prime. I'm not sure. I haven't opened it, but you can see it says ROG on the side. It's actually engraved, kind of stamped in there. And this is about 28. All right. Now, this should be very familiar to the TRYX one. I mean, let's be honest, guys. These are going to be ASUS designs. Therefore, well, not all of them, but the TRYX and this one are both ASUS designs. And I think they might actually be the same pump. I'm not 100% sure. I believe they are. Okay. So, if you guys feel it's any different, just let me know on the bottom. But here we go. Here we have the ROG screen. It's detachable. And you can tell that these are both made by ASUS in a second here. I'll actually show you. I don't know why they... All right, I don't want to reprint it. So this way it just makes it easy for me later. But okay, so here we have the Thermaltake pre-applied. All right, so the TRYX one does come pre-applied, I think. I just don't remember. But here, I'll show you guys something real quick here. So just real quick, show you guys what I mean here. How similar does that look to you? Right? If I were to bring in a Ryujin 3 non-extreme, this would look even more familiar. You can see that it's pretty much the same type of design style, right? Because, I mean, essentially, the screen implementation is different, but the base product is pretty much going to be the same. Okay, because they're both ASUS designs. So that applies to a lot of the AIOs. I did make a video recently with the Thermaltake build, and I said that ROG and the TRYX water block are the same. They are the same because, once again, like I was saying, they're made by the same company at the bottom. Okay, so that's all of them unboxed. And with that said, let's just start installing them and go one by one.
So quick note before we begin. For this test system, you can see the specs on the screen, but I'm also using a 7800X3D. Now, if I were to use a 9800X3D, I would only be drawing about 20 more watts than this CPU. In the grand scheme of things, that doesn't really make a difference for these AIOs. Now, for the test, I'm running multi-core test on Cinebench. For most of these scenarios, this takes about 10 minutes.
As I've said before, software is also very important. All right. So with the TRYX products, you're going to have something called Canali. This software, I haven't used it much. I did use it from the very beginning up till now. I will say that it has grown in features. Okay. So with the Panorama AIO, you're going to get some presets. All right. These are going to be on her entire curve screen. And on top of that, you can add what kind of system display measurements you want, like CPU temperature and so forth. You can also have custom videos that you make yourself, and this is where customization comes in. This obviously you can record something, upload it, it can record your screen. I think I've done a video on this before in my original Panorama review. Well, not so review, but overview at last year's Computex even. So even before this year. But yes, so there's a lot of customization options. Overall, the software works really well. But I have found that sometimes if you have it running in the background, it will impact your CPU performance a little bit. Okay, not a lot, but a little bit. Same goes for a lot of these more, I guess, unified ecosystem products. But anyway, so software's got some nice polish, and that's to be expected at the price point. So let's take a look at how it runs Cinebench overall. This ran was the TRYX. This is a TRYX Panorama 360 AIO. This would be the most expensive AIO in our little lineup here. But you can see here that we had a maximum of 5 gigahertz across all cores. And I am running PBO, just so you know. This is PBO with memory running at 6,000. All right. So you have your average core here. And then we have our core temperatures. I have it set to 80 degrees as the max peak rather than 90.
I think that might be a default. But you can see here our power draw maximum on average of 61 with a maximum of 76. All right, so we're going to pay attention to these numbers overall to compare all the coolers that we're doing here. And we'll have, even though, they're all going to hit 80 degrees from a thermal standpoint, the overall maximum boost and the average boost, these things are going to be somewhat determined by cooler performance. All right, so let's move on to the next one. Here we have the Thermaltake Magflow 360. As you can see here, we have very similar scores, similar boost clocks all across. All right, so pretty much, it's pretty much identical to the TRYX 360 AIO. For the most part, these AIOs are all going to kind of perform the same. You can see here, it's marginal differences. Still the same maximum power draw, essentially. So with that said, let's take a look at the software for this, because Thermaltake software normally hasn't been very good to say, but I can show you guys how this looks. This is actually Thermaltake ARGB Plus 3.0. So previously, if you bought any of Thermaltake products, there's going to be 2.0, 2 point something. And that software was, just to be honest, is just trash. Okay. This is visually so far an improvement, to say the very least. This is a dashboard you get in the very beginning. You get your global fan settings. I guess you can set it to fan speed. You can have a new profile. System temperature. See, all this design, it should just be classified at the bottom rather than creating this on the side. So I think from a UI design perspective, they definitely need to hire someone new. All right. Here you're going to have all the Connect products. I only have the Magflow. This is running by a USB connection, like everything else has a screen. The USB, there's a USB connection. Most AIOs have that to the motherboard. And that's how we're getting all this. Obviously, if you have a controller for other Thermaltake products, it's going to have to show up here, okay? And for lighting, you can do, by default, it's going to be whatever your motherboard is set to. Right now, you'll see in the small B-roll that went by for this AIO that it's going to be white light because everything is set to white. Of course, you can set your own, whatever you like to do. And you can set a profile, which okay, it is what it is. And then LCD monitor, I think this is the part that most people would be interested in. I don't understand why there's profiles for this, okay? But once you click on the edit here, you can save a profile. I'm like, okay. And then you come here. I guess if you had many things, you would make a profile. But there are some by default. You see, this is the thing. You can't click here. You have to click at the top. There's a lot of UI that's not self-explanatory in Thermaltake products, and this kind of continues that tradition. But here you go. You can select different preset ones. You can create your own, right? Upload by app. There's a phone app. I wouldn't use it, but you can do more, get more images. I think that probably takes you online, right? Yeah, it takes you online. Okay, so I guess they'll put more up. And you can also have the weather, right? By default, of where your location is, and you can have system information, or you can have text. So you're only restricted to 2 things, right? You can't have more than 2. But the things that you can set the horizontal positioning of them, okay? Like that, right? And you can make them different color, right? You can add a transparency background to them. So if I were to raise this, it's a slight delay, but you can see that it looks like that. And if you mess it up too much, just hit reset, and it goes back to, well, it'd be nice if this would reset, right? I guess we'll just set it back to white, set the alpha to 0. Earlier when I hit reset, does this not reset everything? It should. Okay, it did it the other time. And by default, I noticed that the screen on the thing is not in the proper orientation. But you can rotate it however you like. It's not going to show on the preview, but you will see it on the AIO. Okay, so, and one more thing here, you can actually stream. So you can stream the window, all right? So you can say, yes, okay, whatever. And here you're going to, I don't have many things open. I have Cinebench. It's going to put this in. Obviously, we're going to have to zoom it out. But it can stream whatever other app you have. It's also laggy, as you can see. We can stream whatever app that you have running as well. I don't know why you would want to do that on your AIO screen, but I guess it's a cool fact that they added it, right? Then you have a carousel of just assorted things, whatever you want. So there is some cool things like the live streaming. The resolution on the screen is pretty good. But overall, the software,
it needs work. It really needs work. So with that said, let's move on to the next one. So here we have the results of the Ryujin 3 Extreme. As you can see, pretty much all the boost clocks are going to be the same, right? With the maximum of 5 gigahertz across all the cores. Once again, remember, this is with PBO running, and you can see our score, 1047, which is a bit within range of the others. And you can see here the per core, right, temperatures. And our core power draw was, once again, about 75 watts. So nothing drastic, right? So far, they've all kind of performed the same. Now, quickly, just talk about the software for the ASUS AIOs. So, like any other ASUS AIO, you will need Armory Crate to control the display. I will say, even if you do not have a display and you bought an ASUS AIO, download Armory Crate. The reason being is a lot of the, updates come through Armory Crate, right? But before we get to that, let's take a look at the Ryujin 3 Extreme and the Ryujin 3 as well. They're all kind of function like this. With the Extreme and the regular 3, I think you can have 3 different but 3 different data points at the same time, all right? It doesn't matter what background, okay? For the motherboard, sometimes you can't have that many with certain backgrounds. You can upload your own image. You can set time, your fan control. You can set the curve for the RPM for the VRM fan that's under the screen. Not all of these coolers have it. Obviously, the TRYX also has it because it is essentially the same AIO, right? Because they're both ASUS products, but obviously with different software implementation and, your firmware update tool. Additionally, like I was saying earlier, if you have an ASUS product, use Armory Crate. If you come to use it starting here, come to settings here, any update you have for that product shows up here automatically, okay? So when I installed this Ryujin 3 Extreme, it prompted me to, install a firmware update. It automatically just had this available so that it downloads all the necessary things for that screen to function properly on my computer, right? I don't have to go download something else, okay? So that's why I say if you have a ASUS product, use Armory Crate. At the same time, this keep in mind, this drive was in a Z790 Extreme, so that's why this image is here. I kind of have to clear Armory Crate some of the data filters to have it refresh to the proper motherboard photo, but it's not affecting the actual operation here, right? So if I come here to the view all, I can actually see my other devices, like my 57 Ti White, which did have a firmware update as well that came through Armory Crate. So like I said, Armory Crate has improved a lot since the first revision. It's very, very different than years ago, guys. It's a very lightweight product. It's not as heavy as you think. It's not going to slow your computer down. I can tell you that for each of these AIOs, I have to run some type of software to control the screen. And so far, you can see by the scores, they're all kind of the same, right? So I had the Canali, I had the Thermaltake RGB Fusion 3.0, right? The scores are not impacted. In fact, I think is this the highest score I've had so far? I don't even remember. I have to check. So it's not impacting it, okay? So with that said, let's move on to the final product, which is the primary product that we came here to see, which is the Trofeo. But this is the Trofeo run. You can see we got a score of 1031, which is going to be within the range of everything else. Boost clocks are all about the same. Temperatures are all about the same, guys. So not surprising. I mean, this isn't a very power hungry chip, a 7800X3D. So it's not surprising that, it's doing pretty well. Obviously, if you have a more power hungry chip, even then, and honestly speaking, most of these AIOs, they're not going to make a huge difference. They all use the same handful of aluminum radiator cores from the same batch of suppliers. So you might have a 30 millimeter thick fan on some of them. You might have a 20 millimeter, 25 millimeter fan on some of them. But overall performance is going to be very, very much the same. And it really just comes down to the software, which we're going to take a look at, and just how you like the visuals. So let's take a look at the software. Here we go with the software. This is going to be the most important make or break part because this is, after all, a large screen AIO. So by default, you're going to get these. They're really ugly. But the good news is you can make your own. Okay, so you can export, save it. You can rotate the display with 90 degrees. But the software overall, the UI is a little bit outdated. And let's just say it needs some work. I'd say the very minimum. You get these online themes are just layer masks. You'll see what I mean by layer masks is that this is a layer, and what's behind it, you can put an image or whatever. Okay, so if I come here, I have my CPU stats here and this layer mask configured as is. Now, if I come here to the photo section, you can add one of the pre-built-in ones. It takes a bit to download and then load into the thing itself. You'll see it flash by and it's loaded. There are a lot of these preset ones. Some of them are really nice, but obviously the best thing is if you can put your own. Okay, so let's just try to make one here. I'll put this to orange-ish. Okay, and then I'll come to the settings toggle. You can hide all of it. You can also add whatever you want. So let's just say I add memory temp. Okay, I click on this. The memory temp is going to show up. I can change the color to whatever I want. I can move the positioning, okay, with this over here. The coordinate over here too, I think. I'm not too sure what this is for then, because it does move around. You can't move it with the mouse, which is kind of sad. But yes, you can also just double click to remove. Okay, so a lot of customizations there. And then here, you can actually make your own layer mask, right? So you can load an image and then load a video. But I like to have this load video here. I'll show you guys. I have this live wallpaper of a Gundam head that's pretty sick. I can expand it so it fits into the screen. I don't have to really figure it out. Obviously, if you have a square, it's going to be a little bit weird. So definitely try to get something that's like at least ratioed correctly. And then if I come to load video, it's going to run the video. And that just looks really, really cool. Right? So like I said, the customization is there. It may take a little bit more effort for you to kind of figure it out and have it the way you want it. Same goes for like the TRYX or if you're making anything custom, right? But overall, the software itself, the UI is not amazing. Definitely could use some modernization and some more, I guess, intuitive, user-friendly, interactive controls. But overall, it's. I mean, this is $150. I hope it doesn't go up because I bought it at $150. It's darn amazing, right? It matches the others in performance and temperatures. You got the same scores. The software is just a little bit so-so, but you know, you get this gigantic display that you can move around too, right? It's not in place. You can slide to the left, slide to the right. It's magnetic. You can even attach it to another part of your case, but then you'll have the really ugly AIO head. But you can 3D print something to cover that. I mean, people pay $100 just for a 7-inch screen, right? And the software is to control the screen. So you can technically not use the AIO, although I don't know why you want to do that. But let's just say you got a different AIO. You can keep the screen. You can use the screen as a display stat or something. So overall, at the price point, it's really hard to make any real complaints about this thing. I'm surprised it's not everywhere yet. But given the time frame, you'll probably see this in more and more rigs. And it also comes in black. And you'll see in the B-roll, the fans are just one solid 360 with RGB strip. You don't even need to screw in all the screws for the fan. Some of these AIOs, you have to put 4 screws per fan. Some of them pre-installed. This is pre-installed. It's just the radio screws on top and the 1 wire for the fan control. And 2 for the fan control RGB and wire, and 1 for the pump. I mean, overall, it's almost like a no-brainer at the price point if you're going to buy an AIO. The mounting hardware is pretty good. I think I've seen it's really generic mounting hardware that you'll find in many other AIOs. Okay, so with that said, thanks for watching. Stay safe and take care.